Right now, your automated marketing software might actually be quietly breaching Australian federal law. And, the crazy part, you are probably paying a premium, continually increasing subscription fee just for the privilege of letting it happen. Welcome, everyone. I am Lex, representing the C9 Podcast Show.
And I am Vera. We are just thrilled to welcome all the followers of the show and our C9 business page to today's deep dive.
Yeah, exactly. And we are speaking directly to you today, the Australian business owners and C-level executives, specifically those of you operating right here in Brisbane and across Queensland.
Right.
So let's unpack this. We're looking at a comprehensive analysis today about a hidden operational and financial drag that's likely sitting inside your business right now.
Oh, almost certainly.
Yeah. We are talking about cloud integration, but specifically why bespoke cloud integration is drastically outperforming those generic off-the-shelf solutions in 2026.
Exactly. And our mission for this deep dive is really to map out the strategic path forward for you. Because when we look at the source material, there is just this massive gap between the promise of the cloud and the actual reality of daily operations.
It's a huge gap.
It is. And that gap is quietly eroding profitability for almost everyone in the mid-market and enterprise space right now.
Because, usually when you talk about buying new software, there's this expectation of magic, right?
The silver bullet.
Exactly. You sign the contract, you migrate the data, and suddenly your business is supposed to be this frictionless, well-oiled machine.
Right.
But then, you look at the reality on the ground, most Brisbane businesses are currently running somewhere between 8 and 12 different cloud platforms.
Yeah, easily.
You've got your CRM, your accounting software, project management, HR, inventory, and none of them are actually talking to each other in any meaningful way.
It represents an entirely disconnected reality. And looking at the 2025 data from Salesforce, it highlights a pretty staggering metric.
What's the number?
71% of enterprise applications remain completely unintegrated.
Wow, 71%.
Yeah. And what really stands out in the research is that this figure hasn't changed in 3 consecutive years. That's despite billions of dollars being spent globally on digital transformation.
It's basically like buying separate unintegrated cloud tools is like buying top-of-the-line appliances for a commercial kitchen, but then completely forgetting to install the plumbing or the electricity.
That is a great way to put it.
Right. You have this amazing state-of-the-art smart fridge, but your staff are still walking out to the garage to carry in bags of ice just to keep the ingredients cold.
And the physical toll of carrying that ice, well, that translates into a very measurable cost in the corporate world. Let's just look at the manual workarounds.
Okay.
Picture just 3 employees in a mid-sized firm. If they each spend just 90 minutes a day on manual data entry.
Like downloading a CSV file from finance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Downloading the CSV, cleaning up the formatting in Excel, and then manually uploading it into the sales CRM, that equates to over 1,100 hours a year of wasted skilled labor.
Which is literally tens of thousands of dollars just to bridge a gap that shouldn't even exist in the first place.
Right.
But, it's not just the wasted wages, is it? The real issue is the strategic drag.
Absolutely.
For the C-suite listening right now, this means you are making massive decisions based on dashboards that are 24 to 48 hours out of date.
Which perfectly explains why 68% of Australian SMEs say operational efficiency is their absolute top objective right now.
It has to be.
Yeah, because when your business intelligence relies on reports that are manually cobbled together from these fragmented platforms, you are permanently looking in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
True agility is impossible when your data is trapped in silos.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because looking at these sources, this isn't just an operational annoyance anymore. In 2026, it has escalated into a full-blown financial emergency.
Oh, total crisis.
Yeah, we are in the middle of a massive SaaS inflation crisis.
We really are. According to the SaaS Inflation Index, software as a service inflation is currently running at 12.2%.
Wow.
Yeah. To put that into perspective, that is roughly 4.5 times the general economic inflation rate.
4.5 times? That is just astronomical.
The compounding effect is brutal. For a standard, 100-person business, the average SaaS spend is now hitting 910,000 Australian dollars annually.
Nearly $1 million.
And that number is growing without those companies even adding a single new tool to their tech stack.
That's insane.
Vendors like Salesforce have raised their prices by nearly 15% over just a 3-year period. These platforms are deriving their revenue growth not by winning new customers, but by extracting significantly more capital from their existing installed base.
Okay, let me push back on this for a second, because the standard industry advice for years has always been to buy generic integration platforms, right?
Right.
Those off-the-shelf middleware tools.
Right, the supposed quick fix.
Yeah. Aren't they supposed to be the digital sticky tape that saves us money by forcing these platforms to talk to each other? Why are these off-the-shelf tools actually making the vendor lock-in worse instead of better?
Well, that touches on a really crucial shift in how enterprise software works today, which is heavily driven by artificial intelligence and ecosystem dependency.
Okay, how so?
As vendors roll out complex AI features, they are actively making your business more dependent on their specific architecture. If you use generic, off-the-shelf digital sticky tape to connect your systems, you're essentially forced to adapt your business processes to fit the vendor's rigid template.
Right.
And the deeper you embed your daily habits and your raw data into that specific vendor's ecosystem, the harder and more expensive it becomes to migrate away. You effectively surrender your bargaining power.
Ah, I see. So you are completely trapped. You can't negotiate against a 12% price hike because untangling those generic connections would essentially break your entire business operation.
Exactly. The off-the-shelf middleware platforms like Zapier or MuleSoft, they're often presented as this accessible, good enough middle ground.
Yeah.
But the analysis makes it clear that they act more like a Band-Aid.
Hmm.
And when real-world Australian businesses try to actually scale using them, they inevitably hit several fatal architectural flaws. We actually have 5 fatal flaws outlined here.
Okay, let's explore why that digital sticky tape actually fails under pressure. Because relying on off-the-shelf logic feels a lot like ordering off a fast food menu.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Yeah, like it works fine for the absolute basics. But the moment you want to substitute a side dish or change the order in which your meal is prepared, the whole system crashes.
Yeah, they don't know what to do.
The teenager at the register literally doesn't have a button for what you want. But bespoke logic, on the other hand, is like having a private chef who designs the entire kitchen and menu around exactly how you want to eat.
The fast food analogy captures the foundational problem perfectly. That's flaw number 1. Generic tools are designed to connect the standard features of the tools you bought, not the unique operational processes that actually make your business competitive.
Right.
They assume a linear, perfectly predictable workflow. But, the second you introduce custom data fields or try to integrate a legacy system that your industry relies on, that off-the-shelf tool stops being a bridge and just becomes another layer of technical debt.
Because, and this is flaw number 2, right?
Hmm.
Complex business logic simply cannot be crammed into a generic drop-down menu.
Exactly.
Every business listening right now has its own unique approval thresholds, distinct prioritization rules, or specific ways they handle customer onboarding. When you use standard templates, you're forcing your operations to compromise. You end up making the business serve the software instead of the software serving the business.
Perfectly said. And then we have to look at flaw number 4, which is what happens when that compromise system inevitably breaks?
Oh, the blame game.
The split accountability. When a generic integration fails, the CRM vendor immediately blames the middleware vendor.
Right.
Then the middleware vendor points the finger at your internal IT contractor. No one actually owns the problem, and you are left holding the bag while your operations just grind to a halt.
The classic vendor finger-pointing routine. It's so frustrating. But there's another flaw in the source material that genuinely shocked me. Flaw number 5. It's the pricing model for this middleware.
Yes, the usage-based pricing structure.
Mhm.
Off-the-shelf platforms typically charge based on task volume. Every single automated action, every data row synced between 2 systems incurs a microcharge.
Wait, so let me get this straight. If my business executes a brilliant new strategy and we double our sales volume overnight, a platform like Zapier or MuleSoft punishes me by doubling my integration costs.
Yep.
Even though the software itself isn't doing anything new or providing any additional value, that acts as a literal tax on growth.
It penalizes success. As your transaction volume scales, your infrastructure costs scale up exponentially and unpredictably.
What?
But beyond the financial tax, there is a much more dangerous blind spot for local executives. And this brings us back to flaw number 3. Australian compliance.
Right.
These generic platforms are built for massive global markets, operating almost entirely with U.S. compliance frameworks in mind.
This is the legal minefield we hinted at in the beginning, and the implications are terrifying.
They really are. When you look under the hood at how automated syncs function on off-the-shelf middleware, the reality of data routing becomes a major liability.
How so?
Well, say you use a generic tool to sync a new customer's profile from your marketing automation platform to your accounting software. That sensitive data frequently leaves Australia. It gets routed through offshore servers operated by those platform vendors just to complete the sync.
Which brings up a massive red flag. How many C-level executives in Brisbane are accidentally breaching federal law right this second simply because a marketing tool automatically updated a client's address through an offshore server?
Given the sheer market penetration of off-the-shelf middleware, the number is likely substantial. Australian businesses are bound by the Privacy Act 1988 and the Australian Privacy Principles.
Yeah.
And more critically, for many sectors, there is the Security of Critical Infrastructure Act 2018, the SOCI Act. Your legal obligations regarding data sovereignty do not magically disappear just because a third-party application is handling the transfer.
And the SOCI Act specifically mandates that sensitive workloads and critical data must remain onshore.
Exactly onshore.
So if you are a local firm operating in healthcare, financial services, legal, or even government contracting, routing your data through a server in California or Europe just to sync two of your own platforms is a massive, unnecessary exposure.
You are risking severe cross-border disclosure violations.
Yeah.
This is where bespoke cloud integration transitions from just being a technical choice to being a legal shield.
A legal shield. I like that.
When an integration is custom-built for your business, data sovereignty, security protocols, and comprehensive audit trails are baked directly into the architecture from day one. Your data stays onshore, moving point to point under your complete control.
That compliance aspect alone seems like enough reason to tear out the old plumbing. But the analysis brings up another angle. If compliance is the defensive reason to ditch off-the-shelf tools, there is a massive offensive reason, and it revolves around AI.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You simply cannot deploy artificial intelligence on a fractured foundation. The recent Ohio State of Integration Solutions report surveyed global tech leadership, and the consensus is absolute.
What did they find?
95% of IT leaders cite system integration as the primary challenge to seamless AI implementation.
95%. I mean, you rarely see that kind of universal agreement on anything in tech.
Right. And the reason for that consensus is the fundamental nature of how machine learning works. AI models absolutely require clean, consistent, real-time data to function accurately.
Of course.
If your company's truth is siloed across half a dozen disconnected platforms, the AI will inevitably produce unreliable outputs. It will hallucinate, or it will confidently give you strategic advice based on fragmented, contradictory information.
It's like feeding disconnected, outdated spreadsheet data to an AI is like hiring a brilliant chief financial officer, but then locking them in a windowless basement and sliding fragmented 2-day-old receipts under the door.
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't matter how much of a genius that CFO is. If the inputs are stale and disconnected, the financial advice they give you is going to be completely useless.
A bespoke cloud integration architecture solves this by creating a unified data foundation. It acts as the absolute, non-negotiable prerequisite for AI success.
Right.
If leadership wants automated decision support, predictive analytics, or intelligent process automation, the underlying systems must share clean, real-time information natively. Without bespoke plumbing, any capital you pour into AI initiatives will severely underperform.
So we have outlined a pretty severe landscape here. We're looking at 1,100 wasted hours of skilled labor, 12% SaaS, inflation-draining capital, severe vendor lock-in, terrifying legal compliance gaps with the SOCI Act, and the complete inability to leverage AI.
Oh, what?
It is a lot. So let's pivot to the practical side. If off-the-shelf is a trap, what does building it right actually look like? The deep dive points to the C9 solution, and the core philosophy here is ownership versus renting.
That philosophy is the pivotal shift in mindset. Bespoke integration means investing in an asset that your business actually owns, rather than relying on a generic feature that you just rent month to month.
Okay, what does that mean in practice?
When you own the underlying architecture, it scales infinitely without those usage fee penalties we talked about. You're no longer punished for growing. Furthermore, you gain the agility to swap out any single platform, like migrating to a better CRM, without the entire house of cards collapsing.
That makes total sense. Let's walk through how this is actually executed for a local business, because the C9 methodology takes a very structured, risk-averse approach. There's a 6-step process here.
Yes. It begins with step 1, discovery and systems mapping. But this isn't about sitting in a boardroom drawing ideal theoretical workflows.
Right.
This process maps the actual messy real-world data flows your staff are currently using. It uncovers the hidden spreadsheets, the manual workarounds, and the exceptions to the rules.
Because you have to know exactly where the pipes are currently leaking before you can design a new plumbing system.
Precisely. Which leads to step 2, architecture design. A custom integration architecture is mapped out to connect your systems directly at the data layer. This ensures it honors your specific business rules and strictly enforces Australian compliance obligations.
And a critical element here is that this design is presented in clear, non-technical terms.
Yes, very important.
Which is vital, right? You don't want tech jargon. You want clear business outcomes so the C-suite can confidently sign off on the strategy.
Exactly. Once approved, we move to step 3, iterative sprints. This means leadership actually sees working software progressively. The system is constantly validated against real-world business scenarios.
Okay.
This is followed by step 4, thorough testing. That's load testing to ensure it handles high volumes, and edge case testing to ensure anomalies don't break the sync.
Which brings us to step 5, the go-live phase. And I really want to pause here to look at the practical reality for executives.
Sure.
Because the documentation emphasizes zero disruption during this transition. But how do you actually implement a massive data integration without totally confusing the staff who are just trying to get through their daily tasks?
It is achieved through a phased go-live, or shadow running. The goal is to avoid the terrifying hard cutover, that moment where IT flips a switch over the weekend and everyone just prays the business functions on Monday morning.
Oh, that's the worst.
Right. Instead, the new bespoke integration runs quietly in the background, parallel to the old manual processes.
Oh, I see. So it proves itself before you take the training wheels off.
Precisely. The data is processed by the new automated system, but the staff continues their normal manual workflow for a brief validation period.
Sure.
Once leadership can definitively confirm that the automated outputs perfectly match or even exceed the accuracy of the manual work, you decommission the old process. From the staff's perspective, they just suddenly find that the tedious part of their job is magically done for them.
That parallel running completely de-risks the investment.
It does.
And of course, the final phase, step 6, is ongoing optimization, because bespoke integration is a living asset. As the business evolves, the architecture evolves with it. But I want to highlight something the sources heavily emphasize: why it matters that C9 is a local Brisbane-based partner.
The geographic proximity matters immensely for 2 reasons. First, having a single accountable partner in your own time zone ensures direct communication and rapid response times.
Yeah.
But more importantly, it guarantees Australian legal accountability. You simply cannot enforce Australian data sovereignty guarantees or SOCI Act compliance with a fragmented team of offshore developers sitting halfway across the world.
Right.
For anything touching sensitive corporate data, local proximity is both an architectural advantage and a legal necessity.
So, summarizing all of this for the Australian executive listening right now, bespoke integration is no longer just some back-end IT department upgrade.
Not at all.
It is a vital financial shield against double-digit SaaS inflation. It is a strict legal necessity for navigating the SOCI Act and keeping your data on shore. And it is quite literally the only sturdy foundation available if you plan on surviving and thriving in the AI revolution.
The era of adapting your unique business to fit generic off-the-shelf tools is over. The strategic advantage now lies in investing in solutions explicitly built to fit your business.
To all the business owners and C-level executives listening, if you are tired of watching your expensive talent act as human sticky tape between disconnected platforms, it is time to take control of your infrastructure. We want to introduce you to C9. They are Australia's leading custom software, apps, integration, and database developer company.
And, you don't have to guess what your first step should be. You can book a free cloud integration discovery session with C9's Brisbane team. They will sit down with you, map out your current digital landscape, and help identify the 3 biggest integration gaps that are currently holding your profitability back.
Stop building manual workarounds for systems you are already overpaying for. Head over to www.c9.com.au to book that free discovery session right now. Again, that is www.c9.com.au.
Yep.
And before you go, please make sure to click that follow button so you don't miss our future deep dives. And share this audio with other business owners, colleagues, or C-level executives in your network who desperately need to understand these hidden costs.
As we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. We have spent this deep dive talking about using bespoke integration defensively to fix broken operations, lower costs, and ensure compliance.
Yeah.
But think about tomorrow. Think about what happens when your direct competitors don't just use this technology to clean up their spreadsheets. What happens when they use a fully owned, unified data architecture to invent completely new business models and frictionless customer experiences that off-the-shelf software literally cannot support?
Wow.
When they change the rules of the industry, will your current systems leave you ready to compete?